Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus with some more modern action, coming at you with some Mono Red Prowess. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below. So, Mono Red Prowess and I kind of have a bittersweet history together, as this channel historically primarily has been largely burn-based. In its approach to the format. Obviously, we've been picking up a little bit of steam with Jund lately, playing some Pioneer, have some familiarity with that format. But Burn has been the backbone of this channel for the past 3 years, and we still play it probably usually about once a week. Whereas, Prowess is a little bit different in its approach than Burn, and for the life of me, I haven't been able to utilize Prowess as well as other people have. So I've done a little bit of research about approaches to playing the deck, wondering if there were some things that I was doing wrong, that kind of stuff. So we'll see if any of that is able to be put into good practice here. So how is Prowess different than Burn? Prowess is more creature-oriented than Burn is. You're relying on your Swift Spears, your Soul Scar Mages. Some builds run Kiln Fiend, some builds run Steamkin, almost all run some number of Bedlam Rover at this point. So their onus on this version is to do a lot more damage with your creatures. Obviously having your Prowess creatures, your Kiln Fiends, because your Burn is nowhere near as efficient or as prevalent as they are in Boros. Boros Burn is more about getting in some chip shots with your early creatures, letting your Eidolon do a trigger or two, and then finishing them off with Boros Charms and Lightning Helixes and Lightning Bolts. The overall Burn in a Boros deck is probably far more capable of ending a game on its own over 5 or 6 turns than the Burn in a Prowess deck. So you're a little bit more reliant on your early creatures to get some damage. That said, the creatures on this deck on average deal more damage than Burn does. Obviously, being able to cast multiple Metamorphoses into, say, Lava Spike and Lava Dart does a lot more damage with a Monastery Swift Spear and a Soul Scar Mage than it would with a Goblin Guide and a Monastery Swift Spear. So, what are the pluses, what are the minuses? Generally, in uninteractive event or uninteractive hands, Prowess is going to be a little bit faster than Burn on average. You're also less vulnerable to things like Leyline and Sanctity and stuff. While yes, you are vulnerable, you can always target yourself and trigger up a bunch of Prowess triggers, making you a little less vulnerable against decks like Ad Nauseam, corner case scenarios like Tron, Amulet, etc. You're a little bit faster at getting the Goldfish kill, because your deck is in kind of some ways an amalgamation of like Burn and Infect. You're like playing all of these like cantrips or small burn spells that also stack with damage to your creatures, but you're as much almost reliant on your creatures as Infect is. You're also playing a low land count without a ton of early cantrips like some versions are running, like Mishra's Bauble and such. To add consistency, I'm running this particular version because I wanted to try out Kiln Fiend and Burst Lightning, and this was the first build that I saw that had both. Beyond that, obviously you're running a ton of 1-mana spells, which make you a little bit more vulnerable to things like Chalice of the Void, so you're a little bit weaker to a deck like Eldrazi Tron if they have Chalice on one. And then beyond that, you're just kind of a red value deck. You've got some better late game, you've got Metamorphose, you got Lay Up Stage, you got Bedlam Reveler, so you have a lot of dig in your deck. The problem becomes is like right now when the format is largely Jund and Bant Snow based, you become a little bit worse. I think you can potentially get under Bant Snow, but I do think Jund is definitely a problematic matchup for this deck. That said, we're running the full 8 1-drops, which is kind of the utility or usual, and then 3 copies of Kiln Fiend. That way we maximize the number of our opening hands that have threats that are must answer or they die. I'm still not 100% sure on what hands can I keep that don't have a 1-drop or a Kiln Fiend in it. And then beyond that, you've got a couple Burst Lightnings, which is basically shock with upside in the late game. You got one copy of Fork Bolt, which can hit 2 targets. 4 copies of Lava Dart, which is kind of the card that made this deck take off over Burn. Lava Spike and Lightning Bolt, obviously the most efficient burn spells in the format. And then, obviously, Metamorphose and Light Up the Stage kind of help churn through the deck and trigger Prowess. Then 4 copies of Bedlam Reveler. This could be 3, this could be 4. Either way, it's kind of important to refill your hand in the mid to late game because this deck does tend to burn through its resources really, really quickly. Then 18 lands, including 5 can lands. Sideboard, 3 copies of Tormod's Crypt. This is pretty good in a lot of spots. Good against Storm, good against Dredge, good against the Hollow One conscription deck that's been popping up a little bit, which I ran into with my Jun deck the other day. 3 copies of Dragon's Claw, still kind of respecting the red mirror, whether it be Burn, whether it be the Prowess mirror. 3 copies of Abrade, important especially in the Eldrazi matchup, also nice to have another 3 damage removal spell. 2 copies of Surrender Burning Rage, which allows you to sidestep the Graveyard Hate against Bedlam Reveler and just have another threat overall. 2 copies of Dismember, because sometimes your Soulscar mages get killed and you don't have enough burn to kill the bigger creatures. It allows you to fight through things like Tarmogoyf, Gurmag Anglers, and such. And also can come in against the Eldrazi. And then 2 copies of Blood Moon, kind of one of the bonuses of running a mono red deck is you do get to bring in like Blood Moon to randomly hose like Amulet Titan or Tron or any of those decks. So, anywho, hopefully we will put the lessons that I've learned back to good use and don't have to go back to the drawing board again this time. So, once again, this deck and I have a bit of a bittersweet history together. So, if you are more familiar with this archetype, please feel free to let me know like mistakes I might make, etc., to help me to improve when playing this particular archetype. Obviously, I have a pretty good grasp on Burn after hundreds and hundreds of matches and winning some tournaments with it, etc. But this deck and I, not so much, but we'll give it a run. So, John for MTG Nexus, let's get in the league. We're back with match number 1. We're on the draw. This hand presents an interesting issue with a 1-lander. I still think it's a keep overall, but probably would like to have a second land overall. Immediately with a Snowblade deck, huh? I'm not sure I'm actually supposed to play anything before combat here. Just go to combat, see if we can bait out a nice Fang Coatl or something. Fortunately, they are able to trade quite actively. Part of what makes this Bant Snowblade deck so annoying to play against. Play out a Kiln Fiend, it's the most mana efficient this turn. We're about to get to Ferried, aren't we? Yep. Let's deploy our threats. Just don't really want to empty our hand. Yep. Okay. Once again, they could have another Coatl here. So Spear is a pretty good draw. Crash through. Draw a card. Bedlam Reveler is not particularly what we wanted to see here. Sure, you get to trade off with the Kiln Fiend, but you're taking a ton of damage in the process. Okay. Bant's mana lining up very awkwardly for them, though they can notably cast Supreme Verdict with that, so. We prioritize casting at the stage here. And thought process is just overwhelmed there. What they're trying to do if they don't find Supreme Verdict. Okay, so they're still can't currently bring back Uro. Sure. Play one. Two, three, four. Move to combat. Do you have a cryptic command? Alright. This is where their deck just kind of goes into stupid mode. Not quite sure why you'd path there, given the fact you have a cryptic command. Bringing back Uro, putting them to 6. So now we know they have a cryptic in their hand again. So now they get to Cryptic a Bedlam Reveler. I couldn't just tack in for no value here. Couldn't flash back. Sure. Okay. One thing we still don't know, we don't know if they are a Stoneblade deck or if they're the control list, so it's part of the reason I'm continuing to try to slog through this to see if we get information one way or the other. Oh god, let's skip it up. Most of our deck not having haste is a downside the later you go into the game. Because even if there are openings, there just isn't enough pressure on what they have going on. So, good old-fashioned snow control. Ether gusts, potentially on the sideboard, timely reinforcements. So our deck plays a lot of basics and snow, Arkham's, Astrolabes. So I definitely want Shrine of Burning Rage. I don't know if I want Tormod's Crypts. I think that might be trying to fight the wrong axes. Blood Moon obviously isn't fantastic against them, but it is enough of a consideration to force them to play a little bit differently. A Forked Bolt. The cards are kind of important, like maybe Lava Dart, Shiva Burst Lightning. Try like that. So yes, I realize Blood Moon isn't great in this matchup theoretically, but there are some draws where we can make their mana a little bit more awkward. This hand's pretty nice. Soulscar and the Kiln Fiend backed up by a bunch of bolts. They're on the draw, which makes their hand slow, grindy, ponderous. Well, relatively slow. They do set up quite quickly, as you notice there, with how quickly they neutralize what we were doing on the draw. Crash Through is a pretty decent draw. One copy of this in case they have a Coatl here. Trying our place out of bolts. Yep, nothing we can do about Purge. Alright. Holding on to this in part because it'll deal more damage next turn. I'm about to get to Ferried, aren't I? Yep. See if I hit a Lava Dart or something here. kill the Teferi here because it is mildly annoying. You have another one. Oh, just Uro. Only Uro. Alright. You're gonna get mana leaked here. Put Celestial Purge on top, okay. We'll deal 5 here. Yes, I realize Blood Moon in this spot isn't great, but it does choke their colored mana a little bit. One, two, three, four, five. Do that before I get to draw a card here. Bolt them as well. Force of negating a bolt there. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start by casting Bolt to your face. Of course, their last card is Cryptic Command. Why wouldn't it be, right? Get to Uro here. Puts them to 4. Unfortunately, they get to go back to 7. So I guess we need to rip like a Bedlam Reveler into... Sure. On to the next match. Don't have much to say about this match. Back for match number 2. We're on the play. This hand's reasonable enough. We have Soul Scar Mage 1 drop into Lay at the Stage or Crash Through, so... We hit another land drop off this. Drop found. Soul Scavenge deployed. Past their turn. Okay. Okay. Looks like we're up against Bant Snow again. All right. Do I even want Shrine of Burning Rage against a Fairy Time Reveler? I guess, just because, but it doesn't feel great. Could have killed Fiend on the draw. Then Forked Bolt. Try it like this. Similar hand, but we're on the draw, so it's considerably worse. Still think we keep it, but alright. Maybe it's incorrect to play the land, but I want to hold up. Need to keep our threats on the board as much as possible. Castle Scargo. Card we have to be cognizant of this turn. Looks like they're just going for Teferi. I guess this could be Uro. Just place a spear into Path to Exile. Unfortunately, we're going to be losing Bedlam next turn. 1, 2, 3. Could take our entire turn to cast Bedlam, but I don't think that's worth it. Yep. Well, you realize that trample, right? Yep, macro. Yep. Takes what, 3 to activate these? Go through the turn, never gets to attack into this rather large Uro. Okay. No blocks. Sure. Lots of triggers. All right. Same matchup, rapidly different result. I don't know. On to the next match. Yeah, we're back for match number 3. We're on the draw. Sand obviously is a mulligan, unfortunately. So this is a hand that's a little questionable, but I think on 6 we keep it. Don't really think we can win too many games going to 5. So question becomes, what do we bottom? 1, 2, 3, 4. Bedlam Reveler's a real possibility here, so maybe we bottom the Crash Through. Don't tell me we're facing the 3rd snow control deck in a row. Okay. Does appear we're facing an Uro deck. Alright. Or sorry, an Urza deck, not a Uro deck. There's a Bolt and a Bedlam Reveler, unfortunately. Alright, so Urza. You have another Metallic Rebuke? Well, that was a fun game. Gilded Goose, Emery, Uro. So once again, I don't think Blood Moon is particularly good in this matchup. But it is a good way to shut down their Mystical Sanctuary loops. Burning Rage obviously is reasonable. Bedlam Reveler can get clunky, especially if they decide to bring in Tormod's Crypts or just random things like that. Then Kiln Fiend's perfectly fine. Fork Bolt, Lava Darts are decent, but I think we can afford to shave one here. And go like that. And it's pretty reasonable. Swift Spear into Shrine of Burning Rage. Just the yield through the turn allows you to attack. Okay. No way to currently kill the goose, so. Shrine. So force out a Metallic Rebuke if they have one. Okay. Either Gust on Lightning Bolt? Sure. I feel like we're going for an Urza here. All right. Weird game, man. and Dismember specifically for Urza. The Cabri doesn't particularly kill much that I care about. They're not actually packing a lot of artifacts I care about. It's possible I'm supposed to bring it in over... Emery is a, what, 1/2? So Gilded Goose and Emery both die to Burst Lightning, which is a card that's relevant here. Yeah, I think we just click Submit. Like, Shrine obviously forces them to reconsider how they sideboard. Obviously, Mulligan because we don't have a land. Interesting hand, I think we keep. Back to Bedlam Rattler for right now. Our lands are going to deal us a bunch of damage. Sure. Well, I can guarantee this is going to resolve. What I'd really like to see right now is another land next turn. Doesn't do a ton to disrupt what they're doing, but enough. To shut off our pain as well, which is nice. Though I do think at this point we are behind. Really? Yeah. think the only thing that can get us back in this game at this point is probably Bedlam Reveler, if it even resolves. Opponent made a mistake with their Emery. They should have brought back Mishra's Bauble last turn. Don't think it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things right now, though. Play up the stage. Chump block with Kiln Fiends, or just dead. So, kind of a rough beats. These matchups really feel weird one way or the other. Like, we've lost two of 3 matchups to these Uro snow control decks, whether it be Snow Control or Urza. I do wonder though, like the matchups. So we look at the details so far. So 2-1. So I've won 3 of the 8 games, or 3 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games. So the matchup itself mathematically feels pretty close, but the games just feel like an obliteration one way or the other. Like either they overwhelm us with their card advantage and power, or we just like obliterate them with threats that they can't answer in time. So despite the fact that we've come out on the short end, and keeping in mind, at least in match number 3, we were on the draw. Both of our losses. The matchups seem incredibly close. Alright, come back for the next match. We're back for the 4th match with Mono Red Prowess here in Modern. Hopefully we will play something that is not Snow Control of some variant. I would like the record to reflect that, yes, I did say I wanted to play something besides Snow Control, but really? Chalice on one? Cool. So, either Mono Red Prison or something along those lines. Bring the Braids. Bring the Shrines. Sorry, when your deck is 27 one-mana spells and you have no way to break out, a little rough. Should have a Bedlam Reveler. Forked Bolt. And like literally the only target they're going to present is Chalice. So, yay, fun. This hand's a little too slow. Nope, early pressure. Yep, I think we keep this hand and put back. Crash through maybe. I feel like I'm getting Chaliced on one. Goblin Rabble Master, really? Seems like a poor use of resources. Supposed to cast light up the stage this turn. I was done. I can't even cast light up the stage. I just wasted 5 points of damage, 4 points of damage. Okay. All right. All right. And our opponent scoops. Gotta bring back in Forked Bolt and Lava Dart. Or do I just bring in Dismembers? It's like their deck is mostly Planeswalkers in the win column. Oh, I can just probably easily take out the Lava Spikes and leave in all my anti-creature stuff. So it looks like a Braids have more than one target. Okay, they're keeping a 7. That's not good. I think our 7 is reasonable enough, even if they go turn 1 Chalice. One of the things I don't like drawing, or like by having multiple Bedlam Revelers in the deck, is just the nature of Kiln Fiend. Alright, hopefully you don't draw land. Have we had many competitive games in this league? Like, the match results are close, but like, trying to think if there have been too many close games. I guess the last game, sort of, with the Goblin Rabble Masters was kind of close. It was like, okay, Chalice on 1, you're dead. Game 2, we kind of obliterated them. Game 3, stumbled on their land drops and died. The Snowblade, or the Snow Control matchup that we lost, we basically got waxed. Snow Control matchup that we won, we basically waxed them. And then most of the games in the Urza matchups were blowouts one way or another. I don't know, this has been a very weird league. So we are back for the 5th match here on the draw. This is kind of a tough hand. On one main hand we have the 1-drop into spells, but we only have 1 land. And Bedlam Reveler is kind of a mulligan. So this is one of those hands that, inexperienced with a deck, I'm not sure. I think on the draw I'm more inclined to keep this style of hand, so sure, why not? Oh boy. Sweep against... What? Ay, 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 ay. Oh, Infect. Sure. Lava Dart. That's rude. Well, Spellkite's been making a comeback, huh? Alright. Is 3 lava darts enough to stop an ink moth kill here? Okay. First Lightning's kind of a nice one to draw here. Okay. Okay. So do that. Spell skates down. Alright, and our opponent concede. Oh. TG Goldfish. So, listener elf. So, sideboards, cages, claims, Veil of Summer, spell skates, Weather the Storms, Sphinxes, mystical disputes. Tarmogoyfs are interesting. Can bring in Abrades because they fight on that axis. Can bring in Dismembers. Blood Moon. I think I'd be more interested in Blood Moon on the play rather than the draw. And board out the Lava Spikes maybe. So we kind of look like this. Just a lean, mean creature killing machine. Most of our threats intact. Pretty easy mulligan. I think this hand's fine. The question is, what card do we put back? I guess Burst Lightning. Soulscar was a nice rip. Hopefully we just like rip a land or two. Sure. 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 Okay. You have a protection spell, you have a protection spell. Okay, am I dead? I'm in fact dead to Exaxes. Alright. Oh boy. Go on the draw, I'm far more interested in Blood Moons. And on the play, I mean. And maybe shade like one crash through. Try like that. Just like to play first. Unfortunately, mulligan. This hand is risky. It's actually possible, so let's put back one of these other. It's a turn 3 kill. Sure. Alright. About time we out-lineared someone. Alright, back in a second with the wrap-up. So, in short, I think I'm getting a better feel for how to sequence, what hands are keepable, etc. with the deck. So I do think the video studying has been worthwhile, both to myself and to you guys, the viewers. But this was a really weird league. We played 2 of what's probably the top 3 or 4 decks in the format with back-to-back games against Snow Control, or Bant Snow Control, and then against Temur UroUrza, or UroUrza, however you want to pronounce that, and then into Mono Red Prowess plus Infect on the back end. The matchups all kind of felt close, except for Infect. I think it feels like we're significantly ahead, except for when they have their really good hands. I do like the Killing Fiends. They added an element of damage and such that I think the other versions are lacking a little bit. I think this is obviously a deck that just wants to get people dead, but can play a little bit of a longer game in some spots. I don't know that you want to be playing a longer game too much in this format right now, though. I feel like 4 Bedlam might be too many, but I would need more practice with the deck to know. And then, as far as the Snowblade decks, like, I think you saw one of the issues with this deck against a deck like Snowblade is, while things like Teferi and such aren't, Teferi Time Rattler, mind you, aren't a removal spell, oftentimes when you're trying to push through damage with this deck, you've exerted, or they bounce it and reset it, so it's basically 2 turns before you can attack with the creature again. So that kind of a tempo misplay for us, especially when we're on the draw, is really bad. So I'm wondering if there's some way to, other than getting better at die rolls, if there is some way to kind of improve that aspect of the deck. Beyond that, I mean, deck is what it is. It's in a rough spot in the meta right now. I think it has some good matchups out there, like regular Tron and Amulet, and can probably outrace Dredge. But then you have some really close matchups like the snow control matchups, and you have some actively bad matchups like Jund out there. Deck feels like it's an interesting spot. I'm not sure that it's better in the meta than Burn right now, but they occupy a lot of the same sphere, so it's like a lot of the people that would play Burn are probably playing Prowess. Deck has different sideboard options than Burn, obviously. Blood Moon can be a real hoser. Deck's pretty sweet, I'm not going to lie. I think, like I said, I think I said in my last Prowess video when I played it a while back, I think I really needed to sit down and study how to play the deck, and it's not as simplistic on the surface as it seems. I think it's a little bit more complicated in its sequencing and such than Burn. So I think it took a little bit more to kind of begin to understand the deck. And I still think there's a lot that I need to learn, but this week was a lot of on your edge excitement there. So that's pretty much it for the wrap up. A little bit of rambling here, but basically me self-reflecting on what I've learned with the deck here. So definitely like the setup with the lava darts, the fork bolts, and the burst lightnings. I do like the killing fiends. Obviously the one drops are amazing. I don't really have a lot else to say about this. Don't know how I feel about the Mishra's Bobble version, etc. But anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus. Thanks for everyone for viewing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below.